Hello and welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. 6 months after 200 girls were abducted by suspected Boko Haram members, the federal government has announced that it has reached a ceasefire with the militant group and that negotiations are underway to secure the release of the girls. On the program today, we will be looking at what transpired since the girls were abducted, where hopes of securing their release were risen and dashed almost immediately by authorities. To begin, we will first look at what interested Nigerians the most in the past week. Mercy Johnson. Nigerians were Googling Mercy Johnson in numbers last week as stories emerged of the delivery of her second baby hit the internet. The story, which emerged via social media, said she had given birth to a baby boy in the United States. Clems Onyeka. Nollywood actor Clems Onyeka was killed by stray bullets in Asaba last Tuesday afternoon after running into an armed robbery incident. Fans home and abroad went on Google to read up on the fast-rising Nollywood star and to understand the circumstance that led to his death. Other top searches include Google House Africa, where Google completely transformed a floor of a building with its ubiquitous bean bags, liberal use of pastel colors, and bizarre technology to show how its staple of apps and gadgets could possibly improve our homes. The No Bra Day in support of October's National Bosom Cancer Awareness Month, and the sack of Super Eagles coach Stephen Keshi. Those were the top searches, but not to keep our online contributors waiting. Let's catch up with them.
Sham. It's facade from the beginning because I don't see why the government will have an upper hand and at the end they are coming to an agreement with the terrorist sect. It doesn't make sense in any manner. If this is an approach that we are taking, it says a lot about the whole governing body as a whole, because I don't know how the girls can be away for 6 months. And after 6 months, when you are getting the upper hand, you are coming to agreement with the terrorist sect. It doesn't just make sense. And the fact that already we are having issues and they are attacking, what does ceasefire mean as a whole? It's just a propaganda as far as I'm concerned. There are questions that need to be answered, right? Who is to blame? Who came into agreement with the ceasefire? Who did they talk to? Okay, at ceasefire, who are we apprehending for all the atrocities that have been committed to this country as a whole? It's not just how many girls that were kidnapped, the people that have been, the life that has been lost and all of that come into play. And we don't have any pointers to all of that. It's just ludicrous.
When I heard the ceasefire had happened, I was a bit surprised because it was at a point when they were on the alarm to attack. And then there's a ceasefire. And then suddenly on Saturday we heard there have been skirmishes, there have been attacks in villages in Adamawa and Borno State. This morning I heard while the insurgents were leaving some of the villages, they started shooting and killed persons. So I want to believe that while the government was celebrating a ceasefire, Boko Haram went ahead to seize fire and of course continue what they're doing. I allegedly heard there was a video that was released by Shekau III saying that the Boko Haram never agreed to any ceasefire at all. So whatever politics it is that is being played, whatever it is that is being bandied around,
it's a two-way thing. It's on the one hand, it looks like a good news. On the other hand, it also looks like a very sad commentary on the capacity of the Nigerian state to sustain momentum when it appears as if it is winning. As much as everybody should be a lover of peace, as much as we should appreciate the process and commend those who have been involved and those who have been able to bring the deal to the table, but simple thing remains that the whole process looks quite shrouded in mystery. There used to be one man, there is still one man who goes by the name of Sadika. Sadika apparently has one or two links to the top hierarchy, the Boko Haram guys, and he has said over and over again that this whole talk of ceasefire is all roused, it's aroused, and nobody believed him. But I am beginning to think that the guy is actually right. The young man who claimed to be an intermediary or secretary general of the Boko Haram group has spoken over and over again, has been tagged as an impostor. And for me, I think a ceasefire of that magnitude, if it was in any case reached, it wouldn't be the Nigerian government alone announcing. All over the world, Boko Haram has its channels. It's got ways of reaching out to the public. I would have expected a statement from the Boko Haram camp, where we normally see them announce their momentary victories in the battles or in the previous battles against the Nigerian army, until events appear to have changed on the ground. So I am being skeptical about this whole talk, about this whole arrangement of a ceasefire, and particularly when it's coming from the Nigerian institutions.
The government coming all out to say we now have a ceasefire, but there's nobody from Boko Haram that is saying yes, we have agreed to a ceasefire. This is what we are going to be doing. We are going to be retreating from the towns we have captured. We are dropping arms and agreeing to an amnesty program. There's nothing. They are not saying anything. And then boom, while people let off their guard. I mean, these are villagers that are celebrating that finally they are no longer going to be sleeping with one eye open. And then capiche, we have a number of casualties again. So this is something that has a track record. The government comes out to announce something. The Boko Haram guys refute or they completely not say anything about it, but they continue to attack and pillage. Yes, is from Borno State, was a journalist, was a very close friend of Mohammed Yusuf. He knows the ins and outs of the operations of Boko Haram. He knows what they are fighting for. If there is any dilution in Boko Haram, he has a clear understanding of it. This guy is in the United Arab Emirates or Qatar, whichever of them, but he still got links in Nigeria. He still got links directly to Boko Haram. I am still wondering why the government is alienating that guy. I'm still wondering why the government will not sit this guy down and say, you have intel on these guys. Can you be a middleman, or can you be on our side and make sure that we can trace this guy, we can trail these guys? The government thinks they have everything under control, but as we can see it's certainly not.
But it is pertinent to establish that rebels, terrorists, they always break through. If you look the issue of Israel and Gaza, anytime they have a ceasefire, fragile ceasefire, the rebels always break the truce until concrete discussion is reached. And at the end of the day, so they said today they are going to continue discussion. Let's hope that let's just hope that something positive comes out of it. I strongly believe that something is going to happen. That it's going to reach an agreement. Peace will reign once again. I strongly believe that.
When we situate the Israeli-Palestinian ceasefire, is a whole different question entirely. We're dealing with a group of individuals who haven't been defined. We mustn't forget that. They haven't been defined in terms of them commanding the ability to come public and identify themselves as a major institution that can be reached. In the case of the Israelis and the Palestinians, you have two entities, two principal characters who have contacts. People can always get in touch with. Who do you know as Boko Haram except through the Agence Free Press in France, AFP, who pushes out their videos every time they strike? So I think it might not be too right for us to then place both of them, or the two characters or the four principal characters when expanded on the same template. The Gazans, they are people who everybody knows. They have said it over and over again that their major idea is about them getting independence and self-rule. So we know who to talk to. We know who they are and who they are not. We know the Israelis, who are Boko Haram. Who knows them other than in the pages of newspaper and the videos on YouTube that we watch? So we cannot really situate them. Boko Haram, as far as I'm concerned, they are not faceless, but they can't be constituted or be said to mean or an entity that someone can talk to.
The ceasefire, to me, I don't think is real. I don't think is genuine. I don't see any positive outcome from it, because in a ceasefire there should be two parties, and those two parties need to be visible. The federal government in the other side are still hiding what we don't know. They've not been so bold enough to say Boko Haram at this. But in the ceasefire, we could see, like Upe was talking that there was a ceasefire. People are still doubting the sincerity of that ceasefire. Every ceasefire, Boko Haram should have come out. to say, yeah, they have declared ceasefire, they have agreed to work with the government. But after a day or 2 days after the ceasefire, there was still killing and shooting, which to me, I think that ceasefire is just a political game, which is not going to work. Another thing people are asking, why will a government go to see Boko Haram? No, let me say this. Boko Haram that have kidnapped 219 girls also. For the past 6 months, the government have not been able to liaise with them. The government have been denying this fact that hey, there have not been any girls kidnapped, and the mystery surrounding the whole issue has been a mystery to everybody. Okay, Boko Haram have kidnapped 219 girls. Up to date, Boko Haram have not threatened any of those girls, and none of those girls have fallen sick. So to me, I am thinking personally, those 219 girls is a scam. They are not anywhere. There is no 219 girls being kidnapped.
Both parties, both the federal government and those who are perhaps benefiting from these other, campaigns in terms of the abduction, are put into the gallery, particularly the federal government of Nigeria, which appears to be interested in solving or perhaps getting control of the Boko Haram situation some few weeks or few days, or perhaps, if you like, few months to the general elections. So I find that quite disturbing. I've had cause to ask severally. In contemporary conventional warfare, you do not negotiate with a party when you have the upper hand. That in itself is a wrong tactic.
I guess it's high time you actually have the girls back. But the thing is, what damage has been done? What is going to be planned for the girls when they're back? What rehabilitation is going to be set for the girls when they're back? If this is in line, then maybe yes. But we can't just have them back and take them home. You can't imagine the horrors they've been through for the past 6 months with this sect of human beings. And I believe if this ceasefire is just for the girls, then it's worth it.
Well, you just heard from our online contributors. To add your voice to this conversation, just tweet at us using the hashtag Ceasefire. Time for a break, and we will be joined by Ayobami Ladipo.